Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. PSR is excited to present to you Last Call, featuring your boy, the Pimp Slap P.O.D., Mike L.
Pimpin' ain't easy, but it's fun like money. Got bookies on the run, now it's time to get money. Not your typical way to ball. It's last call like some convicts waiting on the next draw. You can feel the tension. Did I mention? Fools better pay attention, cause we getting paid like a pension. T's on the ones and twos, we not the ones that lose. Mike, money's killers, Mike even make the evening news.
And now, let's get to the picks.
We be pumping! Buzz Sports Radio, you know we be pumping!
What up? What up? What up? Welcome to Last Call, TGIFF. That's right. We have made it here to Friday, last day of the work week here, and ready to go out and have ourselves a weekend. And the card we've got in front of us tonight, I'm excited to break this thing down. You guys know on Fridays, the way we roll here, we've got the All-Star break for the NHL, so we will be absent the opportunity to put the skates on tonight. But we're going to rock college basketball. They got a 15-game slate out there, so we're going to continue to try to keep it hot and firing in college hoops. We're going to roll over to the NBA. Lengthier card than I wanted to have in the NBA because there's so many spots that were appealing, and Friday leads to Saturday. We've got the UFC here. They're in the baby cage. They're in the Apex on Saturday. We're going to bring our expert on here, MMA Jeff, to break this thing down for us and help us get to that cash over the weekend. And cannot wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of fun this weekend here. A little interlude. Used to be kind of that spot where you're depressed because there's no college, there's no NFL. Football's gone away. We have this week before the Super Bowl. But, man, there are so many sports heating up. I cannot wait to get into this weekend and have a lot of fun with it. So let's go. You guys know the deal. You're getting in here, checking in, hit that thumbs up for us. We only ask you to do 3 things on this show out here with Last Call. We want you to hit that thumbs up button. Help us crack the code. Let them know we're here doing it on the regular Monday to Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. Show the support. If you're making money with us, if you're enjoying the content, if you're winning off the guys in the chat and girls in the chat, of course, throw that thumbs up out there. Show us the support. Means a ton. Cost you nothing, but does help us out immensely. 2, get the pen and paper out. You guys know the deal. It's not just the content from us on screen here, but everybody in the chat sharing them winners, getting sharper and sharper every single day. It's awesome to see. Again, love going back and forth with you guys in the chat when you're out there cashing and hooking me up with them winners as well. And of course, last but not least, certainly not least out there, throw your plays in the chat. We want to highlight you guys on what you're looking at as well. We're all looking at the scoreboard the same way. How do we cook them books? And it's all about us working together collectively to get that bookies cash. That's what we want to do here with Last Call. You guys know the deal. We'll analyze trends, line movement. We'll talk a little bit about the flow and the pace of these games. We'll look at props. We'll look at sides. We'll look at totals. Everything you need to get that cash tonight. And listen, how many minutes in are we here? I've made a decision. I have made a decision on behalf of the group, and I hope you guys don't mind. It was an important thing. Decisions had to be made, and it was up to me to get it done for us. And that decision is we're going to F the Fridays up for these bookies out there. It's F the Friday up Friday here with Pub Sports Radio. We're going to go after it and get these bookies cash on Friday. Coming off a couple of difficult Fridays, and we're not going to do that anymore. We're not going to pussyfoot around. We're going to step into this thing, and we're going to let them know we're here. We're going to give them the old pimp slap going into the weekend before everybody goes to get that cash. So appreciate you guys dropping in and rocking with us. Again, thumbs up means a ton. Greatly appreciated. And shout out to our guy, Joe T, in the chat. First guy in the chat, making some comments. Got to hang out with my guy, Joe T, on screen last night. And a lot of fun. We had a little degenerate interlude there where we put together some NHL All-Star picks. So it's great to see him out there. And he's given us his best bets today. Princeton, Yale, over 141.5. He's got the Penn Brown game over 138.5. He needs a bounce-back night, 1 and 2 on the show. But shout out to our guy, Joe T. He's going to make the PSR debut over there on the poker tournament later on tonight. Going to be a lot of fun to see my guy cooking out there and getting it done. Patrick Burns in the chat says, I'm with you on the Princeton over. Guys expecting scores there. Zane Cole, Friday, my day and yours. LFG. Zane, that's why it had to become an let's F their Fridays up situation. And that is the bookies that we're trying to get after. So Justin in the chat. There's my guy, Justin. Look, we're not in alignment on that one, but that is okay, my guy Justin. Brown -2.5 for the Stacks POD for our guy Justin. I told him I was going to win that horse race earlier, and then I was going to cash that 10 spot, but he said no. I'm going to go 0-2, and so far I'm 0-1. I did not win that virtual horse race, so he's on his way. We'll see how that play cashes out here throughout the evening. Ricky Bobby in the chat says, "Let's get this effing money." Nunya, what's up, my guy? Nunya says, "Everybody working for the weekend. You know it, my guy. Gang, let's crush this small college basketball card." Rick J in the house. Good to see you, my guy. Let's go. Let's keep it rolling. Keith, what's up? Keith says, "What up, Mike M? I like the Wizards +7.5, -108 at home versus the Heat." We'll be talking about that game as well. And Nunya says, "I'm off the NBA unless the gang has a great NBA player prop or tight line spot." I'm excited because we have it. We talked about it the other day. When you were the home favorite, now you're on the road favorite situation, or you're in the revenge spot. You're cashing. It hasn't lost this season. We went 3-0 with it the other day. It's back today. So I'm excited to share that play with you guys when it comes to the association. Morgan Spooner in the house. What's up, Morgan? It's great to see you, my guy. Subhuman Gaucho says, "Friday, gang. Let's get this cash." Abel A in the chat. J Smooth 16. Smooth balls POD. Super important. You got to keep them balls smooth, and our guy's making sure he takes care of us here with this Niagara St. Peter's over 133 spot. He's expecting scoring in that game there with Niagara and St. Peter's, and that makes a lot of sense, as I kind of started looking into that game as well. Rick J says, can expect Fox to go to the rim more this game. There's resisting it all over that Iowa -5.5. Great to see that. And Joseph Alvarado says, "What up, players? Chicago loves Mike M. Do the pimp slap. Let's go, my guy." Appreciate you, Joseph Alvarado in the house out there. You guys know the deal. Hit that thumbs up for us. We're going to get this thing rocking. We got to keep a brisk pace. We've got 7 o'clock college basketball games to get to out there. Want to recognize a few more of you guys coming in here. Says, "Coin, what up, Mike and chat? Let's have a Friday. Got some Grizz under 224.5 in the pocket." Ricky Bobby's on the Franz Wagner over 8.5 rebounds and assists. Always appreciate you guys sharing it out there. Brian Watson in the chat. Abel A says, "Sabonis double-double +450. Ooh, I like the way that looks there. Nice +450 spot for our guy. Morgan Spooner, "Garbage patch plays of the night. Likes Niagara +2 in the first half." I like that first half spot for Niagara. Definitely in line with you there. He says Fairfield +2.5 first half. Mount St. Mary's +2.5. And the full game. And Toledo +4.5. I had a little incident with some aspirin, so I'm trying to fight through it. I got a little dehydration, a little parched mouth here as we go through the show tonight. So Jay Peasy, what up? He says Penn Brown over 138.5. Ian Shaber in the house. What up, you dirty dogs? Nunya, Garbage Patch POD. And there's our guy, Nasty Nate. Mike, I have the solution for your life. I'll DM you. Hey, man, I'm always open for that, Nasty Nate. I know we had some fun last night, Nasty Nate. I was having fun at your expense with that Celtics, but you're a good sport. You've had some fun at my expense, and we're getting to that level of this thing here, my guy. But we'll see. Your Celtics should be able to bounce back. That was a weird night. I was talking to T about that backstage before the show. If you had asked me, to predict the situation here with NBA, and I guess that's kind of what we're doing with this prognostication thing, I would have said, maybe we get 3 favorites and 1 dog. I wouldn't have gone the other direction there. I mean, holy cow, we got a 15-point dog in the LA Lakers, and they come out there and they outright them Celtics, literally wire to wire. It wasn't even close from the hop. I thought the Jaylen Brown spot, they would just mess around and take a bunch of pop shots. I didn't realize they were going to be trying to go for their life to get the job done. Then you look at that, Pacers game. I'm sorry, the Knicks game out there, and Knicks kind of blew that first half, but then came back to get the job done. We see that the Sixers, what did I say on the show? Wouldn't surprise me in this situation. That lengthy road trip, everyone's writing them off. There's no Embiid, and don't they come around and they fuck around and found out in Utah that them Sixers still had it in their bags, if you will. So interesting night there. We did do some cashing though. Let's go through this recap. Let's get through it and let's move on to the card tonight. Again, we got a spot of sports here. We've got the college basketball, we've got the NBA, and then we're going to get some UFC plays to send everybody on their weekend here. And we split it in college basketball. We had North Bama on the money line, got it done. Tremendous live betting opportunities throughout the night for that game as well. Nice little -120 spot there. We talked about the home court advantage, and I'll keep tracking those plays for us, especially when they're cashing. San Francisco minus 18.5. All I got to say is check your bets carefully before you push the button. What a disaster I had in that spot there. They lost the game, and it was a unit that we took on the chin here. But I went to go back in and put a second unit on. It was a really nice day for me across the board. And instead of just getting the one unit in there, don't I add an extra 0 to it? So instead of getting 2 units in a spot that took a loss, it ended up being 11 units. So man, that one hurt. I woke up, I saw that this morning. I was like, I had to just go back to bed and start this day over. But anyhow, we're going to move forward. It happens to everybody. Just make sure you double check your bets. The Jalen over 1.5 threes in the Celtics. Obviously, the Celtics didn't get the job done. But we made that switcheroo here in the NBA, and that was critical. We went to the Indiana Pacers first half. We got that plus 110 spot. That cashed for us comfortably. We had the Indiana under 235.5. That got there and cashed for us. I should have left the Knicks in that thing because they still came back and covered the spread. But we did get Memphis at plus 9, so that was a nice little victory for us out there. Memphis, that G League Memphis spot, obviously the Cavs came back to get the game done, but the Memphis Grizz got us our 9. And then there's that Utah Jazz minus 5 loss. Unfortunately, the same game parlay with Lauri Markkanen over 32.5 points and rebounds didn't cash, with the Jazz being the losing leg of that thing. But look, 4-4. We're moving through it. We're keeping ourselves in the fight and ready to go here for tonight. So, guys, hit that thumbs up if you're just dropping in. You know the deal. We're getting out of work. We're figuring out what we're going to do for dinner. We're going to figure out cocktails for the evening and what's on deck, and we're here to help you guys figure out how to get that cash. So throw that thumbs up and show the support. Let's see what you guys have to say in the chat before we jump in. Trans-Canada. What's up, my guy, Trans-Canada? It's good to see you. So Celtics are like spouse abusers and beat up on cupcakes, but when the man comes to town, they get corrected. They have 2 losses at home now on the season. So they started out phenomenal, no doubt about it. Coin says lean Buffalo plus 8.5, which tips in 20 minutes. Coin, what's funny about that is I said I shit talked with our boys earlier this week, them Buffalo Bulls so much, and they lost. They got beat up. We talked about them being the worst team in college basketball. Wouldn't it surprise you now that they come out there and get this cover on this game here? The lines dropped a full point from 9.5 to 8.5, even down to 8s in some spots. So you're not probably too far off with that spot. Ian Shaver says my pre-flop, Yale minus 3, Marist minus 3, and the Kent Buffalo game under 148.5. Nani says sweet tater fries and stir-fried collie and broccoli. That sounds pretty tasty. I'm not sure about the sweet tater fries, but hey, I'm always down to try something new here and there. Why not? Let's go. Good on you, my guy. Brian Watson says, did Wisconsin throw that game? What a great comeback that was. Holy smokes. What were they down? 18 points at halftime, only to come back, push it to overtime, and close the game up. So that was definitely nice. Nunya says, cashing on Bama basketball. Love it. Nice. All right, you guys, let's get into this card here. Again, we got the trifecta spot of sports here tonight. Speaking of our guy, Nasty Nate out there, we're going to get into this college basketball game to start it out. You know the deal by now. You'll see the games we're going to cover on the right-hand side of the screen. Our man T rocking and rolling with us, getting them graphics looking great. And this is the first game we're going to open up with here with this Princeton and Yale spot. This line opened at 2.5. It has moved to 3.5. So kind of an interesting spot. We have 48% of the bets, 45% of the cash on this Princeton side of things. Probably for a reason. I'm sure they've got their options, and you see what's happening with recent play in Princeton. Might make a lot of sense. As far as the total, 140.5 is where the back number opens up. 66% of the bets, 46% of the cash on the under. It looks like it's moved about 1.5 in this spot. And Ian Shaver says, graphics are sharp. Man, my guy does great work, doesn't he? Doesn't he? Come on now. You guys can throw the thumbs up out there and support our guy T doing what he does. Let's go. Let's have a night tonight, though, guys. We're looking at this game. I'll tell you exactly where I'm looking at with this thing here. I'm locking it in on Princeton. First of all, I think this is the wrong team favored situation. We also have a dangerous Princeton team. When you look at the conference standings with these two teams, it's a 15-2 Princeton spot. Number 1 in the conference, but only because of the fact that they went out there and had some non-con wins to start the season off. Who's creeping up on them? They've got both Cornell and Yale at 4-0 spots. So there's definitely some motivation in this situation. If Princeton thinks they're going to be the guys that come out there and get the job done, they're going to have to figure it out. But, I think Yale's vulnerability, you look at kind of how they played throughout the season in the non-con spots. Losing games to major teams doesn't help get the job done. They're 13-6 on the year, but 4-0 in the conference, 4-1 at home. And despite the fact that they're at home, I think the opportunity for Princeton here, if you look at their team, is they're a 7-2 road team out there. So 3-1 in the conference. It's these three teams, and then it's everybody else at 1-3 across the conference. So this is a big game. And the thing I like about this game, when you look at the Princeton side of the equation here, the way that they go about it, they're top 10 in the nation in their 3-point rate, 2-point percentage, and turnover avoidance. They're scoring threes, they're scoring twos. They're not making sloppy mistakes that lead to fast breaks on the other side. And when you've got a team that likes to go out there and throw the threes up as many as Princeton does, you got to look at some mitigating or some outside factors, the peripheral events in this thing. Specifically, this game's on ESPNU. This is a national spotlight opportunity. The Bulldogs out there averaging 76.3 points a game. But on the flip side of things, the Tigers averaging 77.6 points a game out here. I think it's a competitive match with 3.5 points in the back pocket. Makes an absolute ton of sense for a team that's got a lot to play for. Up and down the roster, I think that this is just a Princeton team that's a lot stronger. And I just don't understand why in this case here, other than the fact that it's home court, we would be seeing these numbers move the way they are. So plus 3.5s are out there at minus 110s. That's how we're opening up the college basketball card tonight. We're rocking and rolling with these Princeton Tigers. That's going to be where we start the card. We'll keep it rolling. We'll keep it moving here. Want to keep this brisk pace, get it going for us here. And next game on the card, we're looking at the Ohio State and Iowa game. I thought about this game pretty much all day today. I was thinking first and foremost how Ohio State did us dirty the last time they played out there. We had them on their home court. I believe they were 3.5-point dogs, and they sucked. They don't play well, period. And contrary to what we talked about with Buffalo, where I unloaded on Buffalo the last game out there and said, they're terrible. And I know Billy Briz was with me in that spot. Kent State's bad. So I think Buffalo can come out and cover the spread. The other side of this thing, though, is Iowa, not quite the situation that we're seeing with a team like Kent State as I unloaded on Buffalo. I'm unloading on Ohio State as well because they are a bad team. Their record is very deceiving when you look at it. 88% of the bets on Iowa, 68% of the cash. The numbers dropping, 66% of the bets and 59% of the cash on the over. Line opens at 157. It's probably a half a point on both sides of it. So it really comes down to one of those things where, line shop, depending on how you're looking at the total in this one. But, for me, again, we've got a team 13-8 and 12-9 between these two teams. Iowa coming in with the 12-9 record. From a standings perspective, Ohio State sitting right there in the conference, 3-7. And here's an Iowa team at 4-6 in the conference. We've got home court with Iowa. We've got a spot with Ohio State that's brutal on the road. They're 0-5 this season on the road in conference play. Just a poor team all around. Iowa, 84.4 points a game on average out there. They score. They're, 36.9 rebounds a game, 18.5 assists. They move the ball around fluidly. And I think that's where it's going to get a trouble spot for Ohio State. The reason I was looking at this game all day is the number opened up around 4 and even 4.5 on some books out there. With the cash coming in on Iowa, it really wasn't moving up until about the last hour and a half or so. Now we're starting to see this thing kind of take some flight, which is, certainly more comforting than it was previously. We're seeing it now as high as 6s, but 5.5 is the going number that I can see across majority of the board right now. DK's already moved it to a 6. And some factors to consider with this game. Ohio State, 0-7 against the spread and overall. Going back to last February when they're off a 10-point loss. When they lose badly, they don't follow it back up winning in any way, shape, or form with that 0-7 spot. The other number I looked at here was the over situation for Iowa. I know I'm looking at the side, but hear me out with this. Iowa's 17-0 to the over. This goes all the way back to February of 2017 when the total's under 160 points and they're not a double-digit favorite facing a team on a 3 or greater losing streak. What that tells me, what that tells me is we've got a team in Iowa, when they go out there with a bad opponent, they push pace. They don't roll back on their heels and play conservative basketball. They are 87-82 in the overall scores in those positions. But when I think about that and why I kind of want to reference that particular score, I know it's 5 and we're looking at a 5 with this game. However, Ohio State's team total is 76.5 in this game. juicing to the under as well. So a lot of suspicion to think Ohio State's going to have a tough time scoring out here. I know they put up 75 out there in Illinois, but when they go on the road, they put up 58 points at Northwestern, 69 points at Nebraska. They did win on their home court 79-67 against Penn State, but Penn State's not the Penn State that I needed them to be. And then last but not least, on January 15th on the road against Michigan, again, only scoring 65 points. So I think we see Iowa push his pace. I think we have a situation where Ohio State has a tough time, matching up all over the court in this thing from a rebound perspective, from a way they're getting to the foul line opportunities. I think everything here screams Iowa for me. I'm locking them in. Again, that 0-7 spot where we see Ohio State off of a 10-point or greater loss. Got beat down. We're going to use it to our advantage here for game number 2 in the college hoops card tonight, guys. Hope you like that spot there. Let me hear what you guys are on in the chat as well. I see Morgan Sooner says, both these coaches are out of a job next year. Wouldn't surprise me. I was certainly not living up to their expectation. Nunya says, not Pat Dye, whoever the Auburn basketball coach is. I guess you guys are talking about something else in the chat. Ian Shaver says, at Pub Sports Radio, Mike, can you recommend a source for tracking ticket movement and spread over time? Ian, hit me up on Twitter. I'll, we're not getting endorsed by anybody at this point, so I don't want to put them out there publicly. But I've got a couple ideas around that information and what you might look for as far as some opportunities. So I've got, probably a top, a middle, and a lower tier opportunity, depending on whether you're looking to pay for it or you're looking to get it for free. I just recommend, you get what you pay for is truly the case, I think, when it comes to some of these numbers. Brian Watson says, R.I.P. Carl Weathers. Yeah, that was sad to see. Chubbs. Apollo Creed, right? I mean, certainly just a bad day for the Rocky franchise. R.I.P. And best wishes to him and his family out there. Nani says, boys crumble after 2 missed shots and played yard ball. I'm sure you're talking about something deeper into the chat out there. Smoke and Mirrors, what's up? He's going to that Spiders game this weekend. My guy's going to have some fun out there. He said, my wife's a Richmond alum or friends of VCU alum. The Hubbies have no skin in the game. We're just there to watch the young ass and get hammered. Good for you, Smoke and Mirrors. I would put some skin on that Richmond side of things, though. VCU, with the coaching change, losing some of their key players in the offseason, Richmond's been firing. They're best team in the A-10. They got themselves a nice little 11-game win streak. But that's just my unfiltered take on the situation. Patrick Burns says, Iona, Fairfield over 145.5. Fairfield is 14-5 to the over for our guy. And let's go. Let's talk about this last game in college for me today. The third game on the docket we're looking at here. It's the Pimp Slap v. Justin McKelvey play spot here. We're at the intersection where the two of us are not going to stop at the stop sign. We're both looking to push on the gas pedal and try to run the other one over, but in the nicest of ways, I think, in this case. We've got Penn opens at +1.5, 70% of the bets, but only 43% of the cash. Very much a public side of things here with Penn. And it's moved. It's moved. In some cases, it moved as high as 2.5s, but now it's dropping. Now it's that late last-minute line movement. When we got tight numbers like this, you guys know we look at these money lines as well, specifically when we're in that less than 2 situation. When we see a spot here, the money line opened at -134 for the home team in Brown. 59% of the bets, 73% of the cash on the money line. It's dropped 20 cents down to a -115. So bear in mind that situation. And as I was kind of looking at these two spots, I guess what it just came down to me is, Penn kind of got some injuries early in the season. What's his name? Clark Shart. I can't say it, but anyhow, he went down due to injury. And, the thing is, they've been able to fill the gap with a couple of guys that have been able to contribute out there for over 25 points a game, and Tyler Perkins and Nick Spinoza. So no love lost in I think, certainly a big gap they had to fill early. But I think since they've addressed that situation now, they're in a much better position. I know if you look at the numbers overall, they're 1-5 in their last 6 games, right? That's certainly not a spot you want to be at. But this team, in my opinion, should be favored. It's just because of how poorly they've played in this situation that they're not in this case here. And, on the other side of things, Brown, not no world beaters out there. They're in the same situation, 1-5 in their last 6 games as well. They lost 75-71 on the road to Dartmouth. So, here they come back home. They've got a nice little Penn, Princeton, and Columbus spot. But is this a potential look ahead where they're focused on the number 1 team in the conference in Princeton, and Penn's going to come out there and slap them. Well, guess what? Penn, I don't even know how this has happened, but Penn's won 6 times in a row on the Brown court. So Penn certainly owns this house. Penn's won the first half in each of its last 8 road games in the Ivy League as well. So they start games very strongly. And then on the other side of things, Brown does not start strong. They're in a position where they've lost the first half in each of their last 4 night games in conference. So I think those are 2 relevant trends, because if you're on the road as a dog and you start to fall behind early, do you start to hit that panic button? Again, 1-3 in the conference, not world beaters out there, but in this case, they own this house. They start the game strong against the conference, and I think that puts a situation where Brown's going to be on their heels. I was running some numbers with our guy, Dabby Cab, earlier today, talking about what happens with home favorites after they lose the first half. Surprise, surprise, they lose the full game. So I think this is a great opportunity for Penn to get the job done. And third game on the card. We'll do a quick line shop here. The best number I can see is a 1.5. 1.5 with the rest of the numbers sitting around plus 100s and plus 105. So I'll take the 1.5 at this point. We'll move it down the line to 1.5. And let's see, I saw a couple of you guys in the chat with some questions. Dunya says, Manhattan Jaspers have fallen apart. They were smooth last year and they shit in the bed. Yeah, that's because they're bad. They were okay last year, but Groovy Caps, what's up, Groovy Caps? Good to see you in the chat, my guy. He says, under in Cornell game, go against the public, 70% on the over, go under 152. Thinking a lower scoring game there, Groovy Caps. Thank you for sharing. JPZ says, spreads down to the +1. Yeah, shop that thing around, but still like it. Joey Harp says, any overs you like tonight, Mike? I'm not really an over better, so that's a tough question for me, Joey. I hate betting unders, so I got to really like it to get in there. But one spot that I might lean to is that Nevada game later on here, the last night of the card. So a 142 on that number to me seemed like a spot that I would look to take advantage of. I think it's a good opportunity. I also think we might see some points in that Toledo-Akron game. That was one of the last cuts for me. I was leaning on the Akron side of things because it is a double revenge spot. Toledo's had their number in the MAC the last couple of seasons, but Akron's just got a better, stronger team. They've had a stronger schedule to start this thing out as well. So I know it's a small card, not trying to get too carried away with what's going on out there. And Keith says, I like the newer graphics, Mike. My guy, thanks, Keith. Appreciate what our guy T's doing out there, making it happen for us, guys. I say tight and right. That's what I mean with our guy T, rocking and rolling. And Jeff says, everyone likes rooting for an under, and nobody likes rooting for an under. Not Flush, though. Here's a guy that's all about them totals. Likes that. He says, the Yale game over in that spot from our guy, Nut Flush Allen. For everybody's sake, and so you know, when I talk about writing plays down, our guy is the team total whisperer. Keep an eye on that if he drops those team totals out there for us. I didn't see anything today, but when he drops them, you want to make sure you take advantage. Let's go. Shout out to our guy, Nut Flush Allen. Ian Shaver says, Quinn Manhattan, total getting big, might hit the under there. And then Groovy Caps, Columbia always comes out punching in the first 10 minutes of the game. Dana Delt, Mike, thought on the Flyers. I know you're not talking about the Philadelphia Flyers, but in this Dayton case, I think St. Bonaventure is one of those teams that's potentially in an overrated situation. Yeah, they just came back on VCU and they beat them twice, but I just referenced this VCU spot with talking about our guy, Smoke and Mirrors, going to that game tomorrow. VCU is not the same VCU team, so the fact that they were able to come back on them is fine. The thing, though, is this might be just a couple too many points. Just as you look at this number, open at 7.5, sitting at 7.5, 83% of the bets, only 65% of the cash on Dayton, and the line's not moving. So big red flag. Also a red flag on the total. 134.5, 73% of the bets, 95% of the cash on the under. That one's not moving. I just watched in this Bonaventure game. I wasn't planning on talking about a couple of these, but since you guys asked, I'm happy to share at least some overall information around this thing. That VCU game was 67-62 and an under, but previous to that, St. Joe's 91-72. That was a game that I was looking at that under for that went way over the number. So I'm not sure about the total in this game. It's certainly a red flag that it's not dropping. It's also a red flag for Dayton that it's not moving off that 7.5. By this point of the day, with all that cash that's coming in on them, that number should be around a 9. Big concern out there. When you look at Dayton against the spread at home, they're 6-6, so it's not really like they're world beaters. 3-4 for St. Bonaventure against the spread on the road as well. When Dayton's a favorite, they're 8-7. the more I talk about it, I might end up talking myself into going with St. Bonnie's in that case, but nothing official for me, guys. Let's keep it rolling, though. We've got ourselves a nice NBA card to dig into. Got to stay hydrated here. Very important as we get ready for a big cocktail evening here, but let's jump into this NBA. I told you guys, I'm excited about this NBA card. I think we've got a lot of opportunity in front of us here tonight. It's a nice lengthy slate after the 4 games they gave us yesterday. And what kind of trickery did we see out there? Again, big dogs with key players out, end up covering. Was just a weird situation last night across the board. And I also think about what our guy Billy Briz has said in the past. He talks a lot about this thing with Fridays. Friday's payday. You know, the public takes a beating because they got fresh money in their pockets. They're replenishing their accounts. And there's some trappy spots out there. But I think we're going to navigate this minefield and try to find a way to put some cash in our pockets. So we'll open the card up. I told you guys, I gave you the warning. It was about a 7 to 10 day warning. So for what it's worth, everybody was on notice. The Washington Wizards started to make my dashboard. They were a team that was on my peripheral, somebody that I was closely monitoring as far as what's been happening because, yeah, they're terrible. One of the worst, in fact, the worst team, if I'm not mistaken, from a record here when it comes to home performance, next to the Pistons as well, but they're not going to stay bad forever. That being said, 42% of the bets and 80% of the cash on the Miami Heat. Lines moved now 2 points from 6.5 to 8.5. And I think that's way too many points. We look at this total, 232.5, dropping 49% of the bets, 81% of the cash. And I'll tell you guys, if you're new here to the show, we've talked about it before. I know a lot of you guys aren't new here, but for the sake of those that are, we look at the bets versus the cash, and it's not always the case, but generally bets are going to be constantly, they include parlays, they include teasers, they include round robins, they include a lot of the $5 handles and everything else. It's the cash that I tend to associate with more of the sharper bettors, or at least the bigger bettors. Now, just because you have $100,000 to play with doesn't necessarily mean you're sharp. You could be very stupid and still have money to go out there and put on some lines. But generally speaking, I think that bigger money is equated to the sharper bettors. They're going to be the guys that could potentially move the numbers. And there's a lot of money coming in on that Miami Heat side. As far as the total, though, I think the note there is this under. Again, 49% of the bets, 81% of the cash on this under. I want to keep moving quickly here because I know we've got a pretty sizable card, but just as you look at this thing here with the Wizards, I talked about them a couple games back, 2 road games in a row. Yeah, they played Detroit, but they came out victorious, 118-104 as a 3.5-point dog. Then they go out and they play the Spurs in San Antonio, and they end up coming out there on top as a 3.5-point dog, 118-113. Flip side of things, Miami just broke their little losing streak out there with the Sacramento Kings. The Kings kind of a difficult team on the road. We'll talk a little bit about them here in a few minutes, but when you look at what's going on specifically with the Miami Heat side of things, I mentioned this, just a hell of a losing streak going on for these guys. As you look back at it, let's see, they last covered a game January 14th, an important day for our guest here backstage. But then from there, yeah, they won at Brooklyn, 1 point favorite. They tied since then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight spread losses before they came back and got them job done against the Sacramento Kings. And as I look at this one here, you guys know I'm going to come in with some numbers for you here. Miami Heat 1-16-1 against the spread, losing in those spots by almost 10 points a game to the spread as a road favorite or a small dog when they're off a win of more than 2 points. So very interesting situation for this Miami Heat. That 10-point margin, when you look at this number for the game, says that we could almost potentially see this Wizards come out there and take this line, this money line at plus 280. Furthermore, the Wizards 8-1 against the spread. They're covering the spread by 8.5 points when they're having a divisional opponent at the previous line between plus 3 and plus 14 out there. So when they're going back and playing a team again in the division, and they've got a line that's nowhere near 3-14. I guess you wouldn't say they're a favorite, and they're not a blowout loss, although 14 is kind of close to a blowout. So both those numbers kind of intersect for me with Washington. I told you a week and a half ago, I like kind of what I'm seeing with some of these guys coming back from injury and some of the things that are happening. And I think 8.5 is just too many points. I wouldn't be mad at anybody sprinkling money on this Washington money line, but for me, it's the plus 8.5 that I got out there. And I see Justin says, just bet my homie 250 on Brown straight up. I got Brown with money on the table. F you, Mike M. Justin, my guy. I hope you baited your buddy out there and you told him it was a money line play. So you don't have to worry about covering that 2 points, if you will. So I'm going to be curious to watch that game and how it transpires, Justin. But let's keep rolling here. We've got, again, a lengthy NBA card to get into. Keeping a good pace, though. So we're pacing this thing out well to get everybody out of here rocking and moving. So if you guys are just getting in, smash the thumbs up button. We dropped 3 college basketball plays out there for the card. First NBA game's going to be this Washington Wizards, and we're going to keep moving down the street here with the NBA. Next game on the docket for us, we're looking at this Phoenix Suns Atlanta game here, and what a game this one should be. 67% of the bets, 55% of the cash on the Phoenix Suns. The Suns line has dropped, though, from 4 to 3.5. Then we look at the total. The total's moving up. 78% of the bets and 54% of the cash on the over. Has moved a point, now 1.5 in some of those spots as well. So the Suns at 28-20, the Hawks at 20-27 out there. You look back at the Hawks, though, as bad as they've been, 2 recent wins at home. This is their 4th straight home game in a row. They lost to start their home stretch off to the Dallas Mavericks, 148-143. And it's just been a high-scoring game. They just don't play defense. 4 straight overs in a row. I think this kind of leads into why I like the spot that I have tonight. On the other side of things, you look at the Suns. The Suns, they went out there and gassed Brooklyn 136-120 in their barn. They beat Miami 118-105 in their barn. They did lose to Orlando. They also lost, but it was a 2-point loss to the Pacers. They were favorites in that spot. Here's this lengthy road trip. Kind of has a feeling in it like that 76er spot where everyone's like, they just need to get back home. The thing about this team, though, is they're starting to gel. They got the big 3 back with Beal, Booker, and KD. And we're starting to see the effects of that happening when it leads to these points. The challenging spot, though, for me, a little trickery here as I went to put this thing together. A lot of guys that I like, respect out there from their numbers perspective, kind of warning against the Sun spot. Thought it was a dangerous situation for the Suns. Coming off that big win just 2 nights ago against Brooklyn, 3.5-point spot again. But I just don't believe in Atlanta. After Atlanta gets a spread cover, they're 1-14 the next game. So if you think, hey, they're just coming out there figuring it out, no, they're not figuring it out. They don't rebound very well after those situations. And then I went with the Nurkic spot here for the double-double. I parlayed the Suns money line with this double-double because, the over is the mitigating number that I was looking at here. The Suns 10-0 to the over, going over by 17 points a game when they're on the road, off a road win if the total's more than 229. The Hawks 6-0 to the over, going over by 29 points a game when they're at home with more rest than their opponent. So wouldn't be mad at anybody that wanted to try to get involved and start looking at this over, but I thought this was a tricky spot to jump in because of this over, because of how bad Atlanta is after they cover a spread. I thought we had the opportunity to go for a 2-1 swing for the fences on this thing here. We're going to go with the Nurkic spot with the rebounding line. It's 9.5 on the number. And if you look at that 9.5, it's juiced. It's as high as -145s on some of the books for Nurkic to get a double-double out there. I'm sorry, a rebounding spot over 9.5. That means they're expecting him to get 10. So check the box on one leg of the double-double in that situation. Then you look at the double-double. It's a +115 spot. It's starting to catch a little steam, though. It's dropped to +110. And in some of those spots out there, the big opportunity for him is going to be points and rebounds. Not very much an assist guy. The Hawks, they allow the 8th most points and rebounds to the opposing center. The total, again, is on the climb. We just talked about why it should get there. And I thought the more strategic opportunity in this game was to go for the double-double at plus money, even if you want to do it in a standalone spot. You don't want to mess around with the points for the Suns. This is a 2-1 return on our investment here with a spot where we know Atlanta's poor. We expect a higher scoring game. The guy's averaging this number from a doubles perspective, from a rebounding perspective. The challenge is with the talent on the court, can he still muscle in 10 points for this game? And that's the gamble that I'm going to have to take with this one here, is that I need him to get to 10 points minimum. And knowing how poorly the Hawks do against the centers out there on opposing teams, specifically to points and rebounds, I felt comfortable getting this one done. If you want to backstop it because maybe you're concerned the Suns lose this game, then the Nurkic spot straight up for the double-double, very much in play as well. If you look at that number, it's still got a +120 out there now. Oh, no. It's dropped to +105 now. So again, that thing's starting to creep on down, but 2-1 money for a little same game parlay. Get smart with it there. There's some no sweat opportunities. There's some bonus incentives. I know DK's got one today for you guys out there that says if you bet 2 same-game parlays, they'll give you a credit back up to, I want to say it was like $50. So you can get clever. You can get creative. I told you guys earlier this week, we're going to do everything we can to capitalize on those bonuses, incentives that the books give us out there. Every time I come to the show, I'm going to try to be prepared to give you guys an opportunity to crank them bookies by the neck as we get ready for some MMA. Morgan Spooner says, I'm on Dayton, Kent State, Creighton, and Quinnipiac for, it looks like a parlay for our guy, Morgan Spooner. Good luck to you, Morgan Spooner. Wine time in the house. Perky Bumps in the house. Let's go, you guys. We're going to have ourselves a night tonight. Al Cervix says, what is it about the city of Atlanta? This team always sucks. State of Georgia, man. But anyhow, Director 97 says, Suns money line. Let's cash some tickets, guys. Not mad at that play whatsoever. Director 97, shout out to you, my guy, for blessing our action with the dono tonight. There's a good dude. Love trading messages with him back and forth, talking sports, hearing about the winners. Glad you guys are getting that cash. And thanks for sharing, my guy, with the dono out there. Director 97. Julian Cesario says, what up, Mike M? Let's get this cash. All over Dayton at 6.5 for our guy, Julian. Let's keep rolling, you guys. Lengthy NBA card. Again, just getting in. Smash that thumbs up for us. That's going to bless our action. That's going to bless your action. That's what happens when you hit that thumbs up button. So let's get to it. Next game on the card. We talked a little bit about these guys a moment ago, the Sacramento Kings and what happened on the road. A lot of green lights for this one. I had to dig into the archives here. I had to pull a system out that I haven't seen in a minute, but very relevant tonight. The Kings and the Pacers opens up at -1.5. It's moved to 3s and now 4s with 74% of the bets and 76% of the cash on the Sacramento Kings. Books are concerned mightily here. The total's moving up as well. It's gone up as high as 6 points from the opening number, 244.5, now 248.5, 74% of the bets, 84% of the cash on the over in this game. And, I was thinking about this game and kind of how I thought it might project out. And, the Halliburton factor, I know he's back. It's a big deal. They're going to go out there and they're going to try to get the job done. But we saw they lost that game last time against the Knicks there just yesterday. So now we've got a team that kind of gassed out in the second half. Not kind of. They did gas out in the second half of that game. They're coming out there, taking out a Sacramento Kings team that had a hell of a win streak going, but just lost 115-106 at Miami. And I think the big thing for Halliburton in this case here is you're some of these guys on the bench in the locker room, and you're not certain if he's playing. There we go. Our guy T says he's been sitting fourth quarters. I'll tell you what, say what you will, and I know these guys are professionals, but that shit's going to get old after a minute or two. And they're going to start kind of having some revolt, I think, out there when it comes to the chemistry of this team, which I think puts us in a position to get the job done. You're going to get damn tired of seeing the trainers coming in, rubbing this guy's upper inner thigh at halftime because they're not sure if he's going to play the fourth quarter or not. Not a spot you want to be involved with here. And, when I was looking at it, when we've got a line between -1 and -10, you've got an unrested opponent, you're off a loss and you're on the road. You're 13-2 in those spots out there. So, we've got a situation where these boys do quite well out there. They've been on that run. They want to get back to their winning ways. And the numbers show the average total in these games ends up being around 121 to 110. Not good enough for me when it comes to the total because, as our guy T pointed out, Halliburton's not playing in those fourth quarters. This number is fucking outrageous. It's 250.5 now. So that's a super high number, but very comfortable taking the Kings at this -3. It's all about the bounce back spot. In fact, now it's 3.5 is now the number that's out there, but we're starting to see 4s as well. So you like them Kings, better grab them now because it's going to move to 4 and it's a 7:30 start. So we got about 45 minutes. I don't know that we'll see a lot more movement behind it, but nonetheless, let's move on to this next game. I don't know if this is the favorite spot of the night, but it might be. I'm not sure. I got to think about it aloud here with you guys for a minute. So let's talk about this game. We've got the Golden State Warriors opens at -4.5, now -8s, and even 8.5s out there. 48% of the bets, but 85% of the cash on the Warriors, and it's moved at 4 points. The bigger bets have concerned the books. I think I know why. I'll tell you exactly why I think this makes sense here. 227.5, dropped to 224.5, 38% of the bets, and 95% of the cash on the under in this game. It has dropped 3 points. So the books project a lower scoring game. You guys know I love to tie the unders to the favorites in this spot. I think this is a big favorite. First of all, I think it's 9 straight games that Golden State hasn't won when it comes to playing in Memphis. You guys know when I get to those double-digit spots, I look for reasons to take the other side, not just blindly take the other side, but I try to find good reasons for it. And I think I've got that one here. Guess what we have here? I talked about it at the start of the show. This is that unbeaten trend that we rode the other day for a 3-0 spot. It is unbeaten this year is what I was trying to say in that thing here. So I know the Grizzlies, the home teams won 10 games between these two teams in the series, but road favorites facing a team they lost to the last meeting at a -3 or bigger are 27-0-1. In fact, it did become my favorite play on the card. We've got correlated line movement. We've got the book showing concern with the bigger cash coming in. We've got the under moving in that direction. And we've got this thing looking at an 8.5 for me. That is my favorite spot. We talked about this revenge spot out there. We can quantify what that means. It's just like that hockey trend. You're a favorite at home. You take the loss. You go on the road, and now you're a favorite. 27-0-1. We already cashed 3 spots on that this week. We're going to run that back at the 8.5 again. That did become my favorite spot on the card. So short, sweet, and to the point for you guys. Make sure you highlight and underline that one again. Favorite play on the card. I can't say it enough. So let's go. Swiss Horton in the house says, I'm pretty tech savvy, but holy shit, I can't figure out where to put the damn password for the poker tournament. When you go into the poker tournament, sort in the search bar, search for pub. Just type in pub. That'll be the first thing that pops up. Then for the password, when you get in there at the bottom of that graphic, you'll see a spot for the password. So it'll show you your balance. It'll show you the tournament. You go into the registering spot. You click the registering link at the bottom there. It'll ask you for the password. That should be where you see it. So, and I believe it's Pub Sports Bowl, BOWL out there. And there you go. Let's roll, guys. Let's talk about this next game. Want to get this thing moving. We got our boy ready to rock with some of these MMA picks. And we're getting just about there. If you're just jumping in, smash the thumbs up button for us. Help us create this thing. Let's build this thing. Let's get rocking. Bo Jackson says, I'm on the Warriors money line. Love to be aligned with my guy, Bo Jackson. I know he's got the way that he does it. Love to hear those numbers that he's got out there. But when he's got the same spot as me, I get excited about that. So just another reason why that's my favorite spot on the card. I've said it enough now. Hope I don't get to the point of oversaying it. Let's look at these dinos here. The Toronto Raptors traveling down to Houston. I believe our guy LJ from the H is going to be at this game. So I want to bless him with a winner here tonight. And I know he shared it earlier today on Jimmy the Bag show. I'm in alignment with him here. This line moved at -5, started at -5. We've seen some 4.5, so it's starting to come down. 84% of the bets, 66% of the cash on this Raptor spot. On the Rocket spot. And just as I said that, some cash is starting to come in. The public's starting to bet on this Raptor side of things. So you got that public dog spot starting to take some cash. The total's climbing. Started at 228.5, up as high as 234. 88% of the bets, 88% of the cash on the total, and it's on the over rather, and it's climbing over. The one spot I was looking for was the Sengun news here. I want to make sure this guy's in. T, I'm not sure if you saw any updates on that or not. Looks like he's in. I don't see him out. Steven Adams is out. Terry Eason's out. Everybody else looks like they're a go. And then, of course, on the other side of things, we've got quickly as probable for the Raptors. A lot of those numbers, as I've said before, baked in when it comes to that kind of stuff. And the big thing for me with this one here, oh, man, Razor. Shout out to Razor Sharp Picks, my guy. Says he's got the $400 gambler's first glance on Toronto +4. And, hey, I certainly can understand it. You got all this cash. This is the perfect example of what that GFG looks like. You got all this cash coming in. The line's dropping. They're saying, hey, you like 5? We'll give you 4.5. I do like 4.5. I'm going to jump in there. Let me just make sure 4.5 is still the best number. 4.5 is still the best number I see out there at -110. And look, I get it. I understand all the reasons, Razor. I can totally get it. And from a Raptors guy, when I bet on the Raptors, I look for spots like this. You've got a situation where, the Raptors just got a victory against the Bulls, had a whole bunch of losses before that. So they're kind of in the middle of a road trip. I think guys get together and they start gelling when they're on the road trip. The other side of things with the Rockets are a win one, lose one type of team. They're just coming off the lose one, though, against the Pelicans, 110 to 99. We were on that side of things. We kind of got that one right. But yeah, I see Sengun's in. Yeah, I that's awesome. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. That's probably why we're seeing it move back the other way. And as I was breaking these numbers down and looking at it, the Rockets, super small sample, but it's kind of a situation that doesn't happen that often. The Rockets are 4-0 against the spread, smoking the number by 16 points a game on the spread. So that means if we're in a 4 and they're covering it by 16, that means it's a 20-point spot for them against a team that's on a 2+ game winning streak when the line's shorter than a +4. If this one dropped down to 4 or lower, we might have to put the red flag on it. But in this case here, we're in that criteria. The Raptors coming off of back-to-back wins on the road against Atlanta and the Bulls as far as the spread's concerned. And the Raptors 0-7 against the spread, losing by 10 points a game when they're playing against a team off a loss as a favorite. When that team's looking in a situation to rebound, they are rebounding. The Raptors are letting them rebound, probably because of some of the strength behind that team. So the number that I see now, 4.5, we've got the Sengun news in. He is a go for me. I hate to go head-to-head with our guy, Razor, but look, Razor's been kicking the shit out of horse races. He's making enough cash over there. I can get this one, Razor. You can give me this one. Come on, give me this one, Razor. Let's go. Jay Peasy says, Vegas made GFG more exciting. It's +4.5 now. There we go. See, again, I think that's correlated to the Sengun news out there. BT says, I couldn't figure out how to sign up last time either. Guys, the chat's super quick out there. If you go on the live chat, there's very responsive, very fast to get back to you guys. Let's keep going here. We've got just one more spot on the NBA card. Then we're going to bring our guy in here, MMA Jeff, to talk to us about this Apex, UFC Apex in Vegas. The baby cage out there. AOD says, come on, Razor, give it to Uncle Mike. Yeah. I take it, man. I told you guys I had that little zero discrepancy yesterday, so I'm a little concerned about that. Billy Briz says, Herb Jones out for the Pelicans. Billy Briz, good to see you, my guy. Hope to see you again later on tonight. Let's keep rolling. Let's go. We got one more game on the card for the NBA. It is the aforementioned San Antonio Spurs, New Orleans Pelicans game. Look, I hate to say it. I get it. Southtown, don't get mad at me, but the Spurs are just bad right now here. This line opened up at 6.5, 66% of the bets, 83% of the cash on the Pelicans side of things, and it's moved almost 2 points now in that direction. The total dropping. This is a pros versus Joes type of situation. 236.5 dropped to 232.5. 36% of the bets on the under, meaning 64% on the over, but 81% of the cash suggesting that we've got a lower scoring game in this situation. I'm not going to mess with the total. The spots that I'm going to go to, though, here, a couple things that I like about this one. First of all, I like the Pelicans to kick the shit out of the Spurs. The Spurs quit on me. Then they came back even after I was fading them that next game, and then they ended up winning. So, I guess they didn't win, right? They lost to Washington 118-113. That's right, the Orlando Magic. That was that revenge spot there. Orlando Magic come out and win that game 108-98. The Pelicans just coming off a big win in Houston. They're on the second leg of the Texas road trip, and they're on their fourth game on the road here. The Pelicans have covered the spread each of the last 7 games against the Spurs. They're not concerned about the Spurs. That's not a team that does them any kind of query or kind of quandary out there. And when you got a team off a 2 or better road trip, they're 12-0 against the spread when they're playing a divisional opponent. So if they're heading home the next game, it's kind of one of those weird scheduling spots. When you're on the road, then you're going home for a game, then you're going back on the road, and you just came off of a series of road trips. You tighten up that game before you go back home, and you do it to a 12-0 spot, covering the spread by 13 points if it's in the division. So kind of a lot of variables in that thing. But ultimately, for me, it's the scheduling spot. You're on the road for a bunch of games. You're going to have a quick detour home. Then you're going to go back on the road. Before you have that quick detour home, you put boots to the ass of the team that you're out there playing 12 straight times, 12-0 against the spread. I had to make some decisions in this one. Ultimately for me, you see it on the board here. I'm going to pull an about. Fuck it. I'm not going to pull an about face. What I thought about doing was just taking the lean on the wire to wire. I'm still going to lean that way. I know it's dropped a little bit now. It's plus 135s and now some 130s out there. So you're going to want to line shop it. Wire to wire, meaning, of course, they win from the get-go and they never lose back. And I love the spot here for the first half and the full game in this thing here. It's a double dipper. I don't do the double dip very often. I see 4.5s now, so it is continuing to climb. And the game itself being at 8s, there's still 8s out there. I'm jumping in on it. So going to be quite a bit of NBA basketball for me tonight, in addition to the college spot. Last thing I'm going to hit you guys off with here, I've got a little parlay opportunity for another plus money spot, and I think it's something we have to take advantage of. Kind of segueing away from this New Orleans-San Antonio game, I'm going to move into this parlay, and we're going to get our guy out there. Director 97, dropping the dono again. And, of course, I want to shout out our guy, Jeff M., gifting a Pub Sports membership. You guys are great, man. Helping us grow the cause one member at a time. Shout out Jeff M. He's going to be on here in a minute, giving us some MMA looks out there. But gifted a membership out there. If you guys get that membership, make sure you say thanks to my guy, JM Hockey 19 at X out there. And Director 97 with the dono says OKC under 225, Raptors over 233, and the Suns money line. Let's go. Let's talk about the same game parlay. Or it's not a same game parlay. Let's just talk about this parlay, and then we'll move into our guy in the MMA content here. It's a double dip. It's a double legger spot for me. 2 legs, short, sweet, and to the point. The first leg I'm going with, I've got the Wembanyama over 2.5 blocks. I expect the ball to be flying all over the place, and this 7-footer is going to have to put his hands up a couple of times to stop some of those blocks out there. Over 2.5 blocks has been his number. The fact that this number is kind of where it is concerns me a little, because if the Spurs get blown out, does he play in that second half? But 46 blocks in 14 games. He's had 3 or more blocks in 8 games in the month of January. He's comfortably getting this number. He only had 1 game with 1 block out there, and it was because he only played 21 minutes. So he's been averaging 30 minutes. I don't expect that to be the challenge. His number at over 2.5 blocks, certainly a number that I want to take advantage of. The second leg of the parlay, I'm going to Bam Adebayo, and I'm taking 10-plus rebounds. So I'm kind of teasing that down. His number's over 12.5. I'm taking it at 10-plus. If you go with the Wemby over 2.5 blocks and the Bam rebounds 10-plus, it's plus 120. If you look at this thing for Bam specifically and why I kind of went there, the guy's been firing. I mean, he's averaging a double-double on the season. 20.6 points, 10.6 rebounds a game. Again, from a minutes perspective, 34.8 minutes a game for this guy. And the thing about this one, you know, when I get these player props, the thing that concerns me is the amount of minutes they get out there. Does he get enough minutes? Does it become a blowout? Certainly another factor with the 7.5, but I think they're going to hang around in this thing here. I think the Wizards are winning this game, covering the spread at the very least, which means it's not going to be a situation where we have to worry about him sitting. I just mentioned he's averaging the double-double. He's averaging 34.8 minutes a game. They're going to need him to go out there and get it. And the team allows the most rebounds per game to opposing teams at 57.4 a spot. The Wizards allow the 8th most points and rebounds to opposing centers. Adebayo going to have a big night out there. Wouldn't be mad at anybody that wanted to look at his double-double. In fact, for conversation purpose, before we put the bow on the NBA, his double-double in this spot here tonight is juiced at minus 300 right now. So I think this is the best way to play it. Rebounds 10+, Wemby over 2.5 blocks at plus 125 will be an official parlay for the show. And that gets us through it. We've gone through this college basketball card. We've gone through the NBA card. Let's transition. We had a week off last week. No MMA, no UFC on Saturday. But we are back this week here. We've got UFC Fight Night. We've got Delize versus Imavov. And we've got our guy talking to us about this MMA Apex here, the baby cage, as it's called out there in Vegas. Let's bring our guy on. 1-2 contest in the last 3 out of there with Pub Sports Radio. T, I know it's on the fly, but if you could do us that solid and throw the link in the chat, I want to talk a little bit about that Pub Sports contest as well. Let's bring our guy on here. MMA Jeff, been more than patient waiting for us to get through the grind. Jeff, what's up, man? How are you?
What's going on? I was just listening to the show. Real numbers based. I love it.
Yeah, got to get in there. Got to share them numbers. Numbers don't lie. Only people do. You know, that's
damn right. I like it. I like the trends. I like it all.
It's easy to let the head and the heart kind of get in the way, but let's go. I know your heart is into the MMA, and you use your head when you put those two together. So we got ourselves a little card tonight to talk about. I know you've been giving us some spots before we jump in, though. For anybody that's not in the know here, new to the show, Pub Sports Radio, our guy T on the ones and twos, just drop the link in the chat. Copy and paste that thing. Give that link a click. Free UFC contest every time there's a UFC event. And you get the opportunity to win $100 out there, courtesy of our guy, the man, the Don out there with Pub Sports Radio, Jeff Slaughter, giving $100 just out of the kindness of his heart. All you got to do, it's free to enter, is go in there, make your selections. You're going to pick the fighter. You're going to pick how you think the fight's going to end. You'll pick what round you think the fight's going to end. And at the end of the night, as they stack rank it, if you end up being on top, you're going to walk away with a cool C note out there, cool $100, courtesy of Pub Sports Radio. Make sure you go out there and get that cash. Go out there and register. Of course, you're going to have to beat MMA Jeff in this thing here. And, he's certainly not shy of going out there and taking that free cash himself, but he's going to open his card up for us tonight, for tomorrow. It looks like it's going to be a roughly earlier start. There were some cancellations out there, but we've got Jung Lee here, 10-1. Our guy, Jung Lee, fighting out of South Korea, Daegu, South Korea, 28 years old. On him, a nice little streak he's got rolling here. He won his first fight by split decision almost a year ago in the UFC, Jeff. On the other side, he's got Blake Builder, El Animal, number 81 featherweight in the world, fighting out of California. The U.S. is coming off a loss. He got knocked down in unanimous decision against him by Kyle Nelson. Tell us how you're going to get paid in this fight.
I generally, as you and I talk about regularly, I don't like to take these big chalky plays, and this isn't really a big chalky play for the UFC specifically. But Lee's a better fighter. He's in my opinion, he's a bit taller. He's got a 4.5, 5-inch reach advantage over him. He's 1-0 in the UFC at this point, so he's jumping into his second fight. But he's more, in my opinion, more well-rounded. He's got 4 wins by KO, 3 by submission. And also 3 by decision. I was actually thinking Lee on the under, and then I started looking into it. Builder's never been finished in his pro career, which ultimately I ended up taking the chalk on this. Now I actually got it at 140 minus 145. The books moved at this point. Public's jumping on it. It's minus 165 as you can see on the screen now, but 145, 150. I got it on 2 different books, but yeah. So like I said, I don't see a finish happening here. I do like Lee over Builder though. Builder hasn't really fought that great a competition in my opinion. So I ended up eating the chalk on this one and ended up on Lee.
So if you haven't bet on it before, I love getting involved with the UFC. Ergo, why we have the segments here on Friday with a guy that comes in there and specializes in this thing. And when it comes to the UFC, though, minus 150, that's not a ton of juice. That's kind of in that wheelhouse. Start looking at minus 185s and higher. That's where we start seeing some juice. I was just trying to do a little line shopping for you here, making sure we're getting the advantage of the best number for show purposes out there. Minus 164 I see out there now. So is starting to creep up here. We are less than 24 hours away from fight night. Let's talk about this next one here. We've got, let me roll it up and see if we can't find a way to smoke this one here. We're going to the main event, not shying away from going out there and taking a whack with this big fight that everyone's going to want to see. This fight will be on ESPN Plus, is I believe the situation here. And we've got Roman Dolidze out there going out against Aza Muksum, 12-4, the number 11 middleweight, fighting out of France, 27 years old, 6'3", Jeff, going out there against Roman Dolidze, the number 10 fighter. Some would say this is the old gatekeeping match to an opportunity to carry the strap. Tell us what you think here. We know Roman likes to fight. He's a Georgian, and I don't mean the state that's next to Florida. I mean, he's fighting out of Odessa, Ukraine. What are you doing in this fight, Jeff? Talk to us.
I jumped on Dolidze at plus 140. I took him last night. I don't know what the current line's at now. That actually wasn't one of the ones I had posted out to you. But you catch me on the fly here. But it's obviously a 5-round fight. I see it being a slow start. The over 2.5 was minus 160. So I do see this one. I do see it going over. If you're looking for a plus money play, trying to get that ROI, the 3rd round, 4th round finish, I could see that happening. Again, I'm on the dog, Dolidze on this one. I think It's funny because I was talking yesterday about it, and it's something that really stood out to me. Not that Phil Haas is anything special, but Delice knocked out Phil Haas in the first round, and Imavov actually went to decision with him. I don't know why that stood out to me. I guess it's just because they fought somewhat recently, and Delice's got that knockout power. So I'm going with him as the dog in this one. I thought this one should have been priced a little more evenly, I guess. But like I said, I took him at plus 140 yesterday. I don't know where he's at now. I'm probably going to take it again as it gets closer to the fight because the public's probably going to be on Imavov. He was at minus 170 when I looked. I don't know if you got the lines up.
I see him at minus 170 still. So we're still hanging out with that number. Yeah. Looks like a good spot for us. Likes the dog in the big fight. I'm curious what our guy T thinks about that one here. And let's talk about the next one you've got on here. I believe we're in the main card still, so we're now getting halfway through, getting ready for the main event. We're going to go to this one. We've got our guys. We've got Randy Rude Boy Brown, number 15 welterweight at 17-5, fighting out of Queens, New York by way of Jamaica, going out there against Muslim Salikov at number 21, the king of Kung Fu. And, the king of Kung Fu got himself a decision loss 7 months ago. Prior to that, he did beat Fiallo by knockout. He got knocked out by Jingling Lee prior to that as well. So we've got an experienced fighter here trying to rebound off a loss out of Russia at 39 years, 7 months, 3 weeks, and 4 days old. I know you're going to have something to say about that. Tell us how you're getting paid.
Yeah, you know damn well I am, like everybody who looks at fights. I tell you what, I don't like a fighter in their 40s. And he's damn near 40 if you ask me, 39 and a half. I'm on Brown. So again, looking for the return on investment. I'm certainly not going to take him at minus 275. I'll actually probably play that and mixed into a parlay somewhere along the way. But trying to get the return on investment. I'm taking Brown by decision plus 145. The last four of the last 6 fights for Brown went to decision. The other 2 that didn't go to decision, he got submitted in one and knocked out in the other. So I think, again, I'm certainly not taking a 40-year-old fighter. I think Brown's a better fighter more overall anyways. He's got a significant reach advantage, I believe, as well. So I'm on Brown by decision and looking for the return on investment. I agree, Ice Viking. He does look old.
Yeah, Ice Viking says Salikov looks old. Ice Viking, I'm hopping on Roman. Will pressure Imavov and not let him out of point. Nasty Nate likes to KO in round 2. Our guy Billy Briz says, Rude Boy, straight by the beach. J-Bone in my hand, feet in the sand out there. Dropping some bars out there. It sounds like our guy Billy Briz having his best life right now. Ian Shaver giving him the, I don't know what he's getting. He's giving him the finger or what he's doing out there. But we appreciate you dropping in to break it down for us here. Gave us a little tri-pack out there to get this UFC moving. And looking forward to getting that cash with you, Jeff. Tell them what you got cooking. What's going on with you? Where can we find you? What are you doing?
You can catch me on X at JMHockey19. Generally giving out plays generally live on Picks from Dave and doing hoop banging. We're on a Thursday show there, breaking down all the fights, not giving picks, just talking about the card and going through it.
Gotcha. Sounds like the dogs are barking. Bunkhoot says, is there a pub sports tournament tonight? Nasty Nate says, what's the 19 for? That's an old number, man. He goes way back to that 19 out there. Al Cervic says, Buckeyes starting strong too. That figures out there, guys. Let's go, though. Let's have ourselves a night. Shout out everybody that's there. It's Pub Sports Radio. They're rocking that poker tournament tonight. Go out, watch Jose Lamb Chop, 3 Fingers, Steak Bet Bouquet. Going to go out there and host the show. Jimmy the Bag will be there. Our guy Joe T is going to drop on and make his debut with Pub Sports, dropping in, sharing plays with you guys. We're going to be live betting. Shout out everybody that's here. Al Cervic, Ian Shaber, Real Deal Prime. Shout out to our guy, Real Deal Prime, and the baby grinder he's got on deck now. Lots of things going on for our guy. Ice Viking, Nasty Nate, Billy Briz living his best life out there, guys. On your way out the door, hit that thumbs up for us. We appreciate you all hanging out. Until next week on Monday, You know what's going on. It's last call. I'll see everybody back here. Shout out. Subscribe to Pub Sports Radio out there in YouTube. Make sure you want to know anytime we go live. Throw the notifications on. You will be notified when this channel lights up, getting you an opportunity to build your bankrolls across the spectrum. Tomorrow, we got our guys, Dabby Cab, and C-Mac going to break down some college basketball. You know you'll see me there. You'll see Billy Briz there. And the crew's going to go out and try to live bet as well. Until then, have yourselves a weekend. Good luck with your bets and stay pumping, baby. Let's go.